understand just why you wanna keep me guessing.
Hi BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys my March book haul part 2. Yes, I went to Book Off on Friday with my sister, and today is now Tuesday, so last Friday I went to Book Off with my sister. I spent $18 on 18 books. It's so amazing. I love dollar books so much. Not only because I'm frugal, but because just the hunt of a bargain is amazing. I love being able to see these books and go, huh, I almost bought it for this price, but I got it today for $1. Like, it's just so fun. You know what I'm saying? All right, so let's start with the bigger bag and work our way down. Now, if you guys don't know me very well, I did buy you guys some books that will be added to the spring, not the spring, I'm sorry, the winter trade away. But I'll get to that when I get to the book. So the first book I have here is The Red Hunter by Lisa Unger. I am starting to collect her books, although I've never read her before. Who would you say she's more like in writing style? And I also got her Crazy Love You. Again, both of these were $1. Hardcovers, awesome. The rest of the books that I own by her are trade paperbacks. But that's okay. Then we'll look fine. Let me know down below how you like this author, if I should continue buying her works. Because with thrillers, I don't know if I would reread them or if I want to read them once and then just give them away, because again, they were only $1. We'll see. We'll see. Those are the first 2 books. And then I purchased Billy by Whitley Strieber. Now, I'll show you. Whitley Strieber wrote The Communion. Okay. Now, this alien book I've never read. It says it's a true story. If you believe in aliens, then it's absolutely a true story. If you do not believe in aliens, then it would be fiction. I believe in aliens, so I'm taking my chances that it's a true story. Probably some kind of abduction. I can't wait. Anyways, he is famous for his, you know, alien books, but this one, I didn't even know he wrote anything else. This is called Billy, and it's about a boy. I kind of looked in the inside flap. Imagine a little boy's terror after he is snatched from the safety of his home in the middle of the night. So it's an abduction, but is it aliens or is it just a bad person? I don't know, but I'm excited to read it. And again, I'm excited to read this one. If you don't know the backstory to this book, my grandpa was obsessed with aliens. And he bought this book back when I was like 5. And it had been sitting on the bookshelf in our, you know, family home for forever. And every time he moved, this book would go with him. And the alien itself scared the crap out of me growing up. Like, this picture freaked me out. And so, of course, as an adult, I couldn't wait to find it. And I found this at Book Off for $1, and I was totally stoked. So now I'm collecting all of Whitley's books as well. Thanks, Grandpa, for making me want to read alien books. All right, the next book in the bag is called The House of Silk by Anthony Horowitz. This is a Sherlock Holmes novel. I already own this, but I can't remember what edition I have. So I don't know if this is going to match the other book I already own or if this is the exact same one. Regardless, one of you guys is going to get a copy of this book. And I believe this is the first book in the Sherlock Holmes series. This is a retelling of Sherlock Holmes. And I'm not sure if it's like a retelling of stories from, you know, the Sherlock Holmes arena, or if this is a retelling of Sherlock Holmes himself and his detective abilities. I'm not sure. but I'm looking forward to that one. I also found this beautiful edition of Loney. Keely just talked about this on her channel a few weeks ago about books that she DNF'd. She didn't like this one. She tried to read it a couple times and it just didn't impress her. But this is such a gorgeous cover. I do have this book in paperback that I purchased off of Amazon. And I'm really sad because that book was like $16 and I found this hardcover for $1. This is by Andrew Michael Hurley. It's not just good, it's great. An amazing piece of fiction. That's what Stephen King blurbs on the front. It says it's bone-chilling poetic writing. The Loney is a stunning novel about faith, the uncanny strange rituals, and the oddity of human experience. One of my favorite reads of the past couple of years. That was written by Jeff Vandermeer. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this story. And when I finally get to it, I'll decide whether I want to keep the paperback or the hardcover. I'm excited that I even found a hardcover of this book. Underneath is just a dark gray. If you guys are ever in San Diego, please stop at Bookhaul. I mean, they don't have very many of them. They have the one in San Diego. They have one in Honolulu, like downtown in like Waikiki area. And then the rest of the Bookhauls are in Japan. So if you go to Hawaii or San Diego, stop at Bookhaul. They are amazing. All right. The next book I found is Ronald Dahl. I never say his last name right. Never say his first name right either. It's not Ronald, it's Roald Dahl? What? I don't know why I can't say his name. Anyways, illustrated by Quentin Blake. This is the Penguin edition, so it's nice and floppy. I read James and the Giant Peach to my kids a few years back. I've never read this book, and I can't wait to add it to my kids' collection and read it to them. Like I said, this is illustrated. I haven't seen the movie yet either. Is it going to make me cry? Because I just don't want to watch movies that make me cry. All right, the next book I found is A Spot of Bother by Mark Haddon. Now, I just read Mark Haddon last month or the month before. He wrote The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which is a story following a boy who has autism. And just his life in general, like what happens when he discovers that there is a dog on his neighbor's lawn that is dead, and he's trying to find clues to figure out who killed the dog. I think that particular book needs to be taught in high school for all kids, because autism is such a widespread thing now that everyone knows about it, but they've heard about it, but they don't know the specifics and what entails autism. And the more you're aware of a disability, the more compassion that you will feel for a certain individual. And coming from a mom with a son with autism, it's very important that people understand why my son does the things that he does, so that way he's not, like teased, or his quality of life isn't, it's not lacking anything. Does that make any sense? I just saw something on Facebook or something where three kids beat up an 18-year-old kid who had autism. And they were like beating him up, like punching him in the face. He had to go to the hospital. There was a bunch of kids watching this and videotaping it on their phones, but not helping. And it just breaks my heart to know that people can be so cruel for no reason other than they're, jerks. Like, I just want to cuss them out. And, that's not going to solve any problems. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. Definitely pick up The Curious Dog, or The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime if you haven't read it already. So Mark Haddon does not have autism, but he's a great writer, and I really enjoyed that first book, so I wanted to pick up another book by him. This one, A Spot of Bother, snaps, crackles, and pops with humor and pathos, sparklingly written. Haddon definitely pulls this off with what we can now hail as his trademark tenderness. This is an unforgettable follow-up to the internationally beloved bestseller. At 61, George Hall is settling down to a comfortable retirement when his tempestuous daughter, Katie, announces that she is getting married to the deeply inappropriate Ray. The Hall family is thrown into a tizzy. Unnoticed in the uproar, George discovers a sinister lesion on his hip and quietly begins to lose his mind. As parents and children fall apart and come together, Hayden paints a disturbingly yet amusing portrait of a dignified man trying to go insane politely. That makes me want to cry right now. Mark, he writes amazingly. Like I told you, the last book made me cry. So I can only imagine this is going to also make me cry. And I just said I don't like reading books that make me cry. But this is about an older man, and I love reading about the older generation because you don't see that very often. So I absolutely cannot wait to read this one. Next, I found The Witches of Eastwick by John Updike. I'm pretty sure I don't own this book. I don't think I own this book. I've watched this movie way back in the day when I was very small. It has Cher, Michelle Pfeiffer, Susan Sarandon, and Jack Nicholson. And when I was talking about this movie with my husband and my sister, they didn't know what I was talking about. And it was so, it was so ingrained into my mind, the whole, spitting seed one. I'm not even making any sense whatsoever. This is a terrible, this is a terrible video. Okay, so in one scene of the movie, Jack Nicholson is walking down a church aisle. I don't know if he's getting married or if he's just there, but he starts shooting cherry seeds, the pits, out of his mouth. He's not throwing up, but they're just shooting out of his mouth because he's wronged these 3 witches and they're getting him back. It's like revenge. I can't wait to read this. This is the kind of witch book I'm interested in reading. More modern witches rather than, the older witches, like the Salem witch trials, those kinds of things really bug me because those girls were bad human beings and they let so many people die because they were liars. That just makes me so mad. I hate injustice. It drives me crazy. Okay, the next 2 books I found for a friend. So we have Shadow Kiss and Frostbite. Hopefully these, Gina, are the books that you were looking for. So Gina contacted me on Goodreads and she said, hey, my house burned down, which is horrible. And she lost 600 books. I would die. That's such, first world problems, and it's so superficial because it's more important that your family and you are safe from a fire. But when you have beloved books and they catch on fire, it's torturous. I could just imagine. So she contacted me and she said, hey, I know you go to Bookhaul a lot, and if you can find these 2 books in hardcover, I would be eternally grateful. I didn't find them in hardcover, but I did find them in paperback for $1 each. So I purchased them and I will be sending them out tomorrow. So hopefully these are correct, Gina. Otherwise, you have more editions of the same book. I don't know. Hopefully that works. The last book in that first bag is Bad Unicorn by Plate F. Clarke. This was one of my favorite books of 2018. I read the entire trilogy to my children last year, and I actually read this book in 2017. So I read this book twice and the sequels once. But I absolutely love this trilogy so much that when I found it, I immediately had to pick it up so I could share it with one of you. This is a middle grade fantasy. Now there are 3 characters. Well, there's 4 characters. There's Maximilian Sparazzo. He's our main character. He was born with magical abilities he doesn't know that he has. He has the Codex of Infinite Nobility that he's had in his possession since he can remember, and that codex is very important for the entire story. So we have Max and his codex. We have his best friend Dirk, which when I read these books out loud to my children, I gave him like the surfer accent, like, hey, what's up? Because he's a gamer and he's always trying to pick fights with people, but then he runs away, but he's the fastest runner in the school. It's so hilarious. And then we have Sarah, who beats up the Kraken at the beginning of the book, and the Kraken is the bully of the school. And she doesn't mean to beat him up, but he was, he touched her, and so she flipped him. And somehow Sarah gets involved with these 2 boys, and now they're BFFs, and they go to this store, kind of like Spencer's or Hot Topic. It's basically a store you go to where you can find dragon statues and tons of candles and incense and weird crystals and stuff like that. One of those stores. They go to this store because that's their favorite hangout, and there's a dwarf that runs the store. Now, we all think, and Max thinks, and Dirk thinks, that this is just a normal little person. But lo and behold, he's an actual dwarf from the fairy world that Max finds out that he is from. So, yeah, that was a little bit of a spoiler, but I wanted you guys to get interested in this book. Not only is the story itself amazing, but the humor in the book is amazing. This writer is so fantastic, and I can't talk about him enough, and it makes me so mad that he's only read this trilogy. Not read. He's only written this trilogy. He hasn't written anything else. I mean, oh, there's a bad unicorn. So it's Princess the Destroyer. She is, she can change from human form to unicorn. She is the most powerful in this fairy world. Yeah, she's on a hunt for the Codex and for Max. So what will happen next? I just love this story so much, and I need to share it with all of you. So please, when I make this trade away, somebody want this. It has to be read by everyone, but one of you lucky people will get it. I love it so much. Oh my gosh. All right. On to the second bag. This one's a little bit smaller. These are for all the tinier books. The first one being The Stone Child by Dan Poblocki. I purchased The Shadow... This book right here. I purchased this book and its sequel a few years ago. I've already read this book and I really enjoyed it. It's about... well, I guess I can see over here. It's about a bunch of kids that are, like, manipulated into coming to this school, and then they get trapped there. Really, really enjoyed that story. So I wanted more of Dan's books. This is middle grade, and it says, "What if the monsters from your favorite horror books were real?" Yep, that's what I want to read. This has also been on my Amazon wish list for a few years now. It's not that expensive online. I think it's like $7 or $10, but for $1, way better for $1. The next book is Matilda, again by Roald Dahl. One of these days. This is the Scholastic version, not as floppy as the Penguin. I was bummed I couldn't find it in the Penguin edition, but these were only $1, so, you know, I can't be picky. I have watched Matilda a very long time ago. I don't even think I've watched the whole movie. It might have come out, like, after I was already, like, in high school, and so it didn't interest me that much. But I haven't read the story, but I do know that this girl really likes books and that she is a witch. So I can't wait to read that one. And then I found The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. Now, I've already read this book, but I do own almost all of her books. I own In a Dark, Dark Wood. I own The Lying Game. I own The Death of Mrs. Something, which I haven't picked up yet. So I figured I might as well own all of her books. And so for $1, I bought it. This is just going to go straight to my red shelf. That one was okay. That was the second book that I read after In a Dark, Dark Wood. I didn't know who the killer was in that book. I guess I could hold it. I didn't know who the killer of this book was. It's about a woman who is a journalist, and she's invited to interview some ritzy people on this ship. I think it's for like a travel magazine or something. But then she finds out that there was a murder, and nobody believes her because there's no evidence, and it just keeps going and going, and it was very good. I mean, I think I gave this one 3.5 stars. 3.5 or 4 stars. I think it's 3.5 though. I liked it. All right, the next book I have in the bag, again, is another book that I've already read, but I've wanted to own the physical copy, and that is The Red Necklace. This is a story of the French Revolution by Sally Gardner. Now, if you guys have never read this book before, I talked about this a couple years ago, and it made me blush so hard in my video. But this book is narrated by Tom Hiddleston, who I have a huge crush on. Not from Thor, just from, he's just so handsome. Like a lot of his movies, he's so handsome. And he's my age, so it's always nice to be like, think that a guy your age is cute instead of the younger guys, because I'm not a cougar. Anyways, he narrates this book. I couldn't find it anywhere for free, only on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you type in The Red Necklace narrated by Tom Hiddleston, you can listen to the entire book on YouTube. Thank you whoever posted that. That was genius. So I listened to the entire thing. His voice is magic. Just divine. I absolutely loved it. This is about a boy who is part of this like traveling, it's not a circus because there's only like 3 of them, but they perform these like magic tricks and they do these things for like rich people. And during the French Revolution, the rich people are being murdered and round up and put in jail and so forth. And the main character falls in love with a girl who is the daughter of a rich man. So he's worried that the daughter's also going to be round up and murdered. So he's trying to save her. So this is like, has French Revolution stuff in it. It also is like a love story. It also talks about these like, you know, like these tricksters, magician people. One of the main characters is a little person. I really enjoyed it. It says, a lush tale of magic, betrayal, and revolution. Teen readers will eat it up. The Silver Blade, which I haven't read yet, is the sequel. I don't know if you need to read The Silver Blade, because at the end it kind of wraps up, but yeah, we'll see. I'm going to add this to my read books. I really, really liked this story. There's that one. All right. Next, we have The Treatment by Mo Hader. She wrote The Birdman. I also received this from Megan. This is The Devil of Nanking. But basically, I can't remember what book this is in the series. It's a riveting mixture of psychological intrigue and forensic detail. Birdman introduced a compelling new voice to the thriller genre. So, the troubled hero of Mo Hader's Birdman, which gripped the mind even as it quickened the pulse, returns in an expertly crafted chiller that brings him face to face with haunting memories and palpable fears. So, the Birdman is first and then it's the treatment. I hate this edition. And I only bought this edition because, one, I already have the Birdman and I wanted to start that sooner rather than later, and I would want the sequel. And if I can't get it in the editions that I like, at least I have it in this one to continue reading. Again, $1. I love dollar books. And the very last book in this bag was on my most anticipated reads list a few years ago, before I decided I didn't really want to read fairy tale retellings anymore. And I'm still on the fence on whether or not I want to continue on reading fairy tale retellings. But for $1, I couldn't resist, and that is The Dark Shimmer by Donna Jo Napoli. This is about the Red Queen from Snow White. This is her story. So yeah, looking forward to reading that at some point. Let me know down below if you have read this already. I mean, when I first heard about it, it was very interesting sounding. But there's the back of the book. Is Bianca the mirror or a friend? I don't know. So we'll see if I like it or not. I don't know when I'll pick this up, but for $1, totally worth it. On to another bag, and that is my library bag. I always go to the library bookmobile that comes into my town every first and third Thursday of the month. But because nobody uses it besides me, they've even lessened it to now only once per month. And then when I went to go on March 21st, which was last week, they didn't even show up. There's construction going on, so the parking lot where they usually park is all messed up, and I was so sad. So I had to go to the regular library, which I hate doing because, one, the bookmobile, you can keep all books for an entire month. Doesn't matter if it's a book that says that you can only have it for 7 days. It doesn't matter if it's a movie that says you can only borrow it for 7 days. You get it for the entire month because you borrowed it from the bookmobile. Now, if you go to the library, those things definitely apply. And so all the movies that my son borrowed from the library last week are due this week, and now I have to renew them all, which is a big pain in the booty. Let's get on with what I borrowed. Because I have so many books, like the pile of books that I have on my bed right now is ridiculous. I just cleaned my floor. I just got brand new shelves that you guys saw that are now set in my hallway, and now I have all of these books that I have to find a home for. So I decided I didn't want to borrow any actual books from the library this time around. I was just going to borrow graphic novels because they're easier to read, and hopefully I can get through them quicker. So the first book that I borrowed is called Styx Angelica Folk Hero by George DeForge. I don't know what this is about. I just went into the adult section and walked up and down the aisles until I saw this sticker here, graphic novel, and pulled it off the shelf. This is what it looks like. They're like red and black, and that's the color palette for the entire book, is like this red, black, and white. Again, I don't know what it's about, but of course, once I read it, I will have a review. Next, I borrowed Idle Days. This is by Thomas Desaulniers Brousseau and Simon Leclerc. You know what's funny is that when you borrow or when you buy a book, or most books that I've seen, the author's name isn't too hard to pronounce. But then when you get to graphic novels, the author's names are always hard to pronounce. Why is that? I don't know what this is about. I looked it up and there was no other sequels to this book, so this is the only one there is. It's also got a red-black kind of palette. Well, I guess there's a little bit of orange and blue. I don't know what this is about. I don't know if it's horror. I don't know anything about it. I think for graphic novels, it's sometimes good to just go in blindly. So I borrowed that one. And then I also got Mooncop by Tom Gould. It looked cute. This one's all in blue panels. A lot of the pages don't have any writing on it, so it should go by quickly. All right. Then I borrowed a ton of graphic novels that everybody knows about. And I have been slacking on catching up with graphic novels, so I borrowed, you know, a few that I needed to finish. The first one I have here is Saga Volume 8. This is by Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan. This is absolutely an adult graphic novel series. It's about two star-crossed lovers. They're both different races. They're battling, not together. They aren't battling. People are battling them. Their races are in war with each other. So it's taboo to even fall in love with the opposite race because, you know, that's just a big no-no. There's the ones that fly and the ones that don't. The ones that don't have horns. I'm not going to open up this book and show you the pictures because every time I do that, there's either male anatomy or female anatomy. This, again, is very adult. I absolutely love this sci-fi series. The two love interests are, they're so relatable. They're so relatable. So there's 8. And then we have 9. And there, you can see the horns and the wings. And then they have a daughter that's got both. Absolutely love this series. Can't wait to continue it. Not finish, continue. I don't know when it ends. All right, next we have Paper Girls Volume 4. I'm pretty sure I read Volume 3 recently. I did. Yeah, I didn't like 3. They ended up going into the past, kind of like with cavemen, and I didn't understand where they were going. So I didn't really like the 3rd one, but I'm hoping I like the 4th one better. We will see. Then we have Rick and Morty. Now, I don't know how I feel about Rick and Morty. I borrowed the first graphic novel last year, I think, at some point in time. And I decided, well, the library has all of them, so I'll just get them all. We have Volume 2. I've never seen this TV show. We have Volume 3. I guess I could, well, is there a title? No, there's no title. There's Volume 3. Here's Volume 4. And Volume 5. I don't know when these came out. It's by Starks, Cannon, Elbury, Farina, and Crank. This is found on Adult Swim. I don't have cable. You guys all know this. So I've never seen this TV show before. From what I remember from the first graphic novel, we have this kid here who's Rick, right? And his grandpa who's Morty. Now, his grandpa is a scientist and an alcoholic, so he's normally drunk in all of the episodes or in all of the graphic novels, I think. He finds himself in shoddy situations and Rick has to save him a lot. And I think this is the maternal grandfather. I think that's the mom's dad. And she tries to ignore the fact that her father is obnoxious and embarrassing. But yeah, I don't know if I even like this humor. I'm going to continue on with it. The first one didn't make me like laugh out loud, but the library did have, you know, a continuation of them. So I figured, why not? And if I don't like it, I'll just return it. All right, next we have 3 more books from the same series, and that is The Wicked and the Divine. Now, I do own 1 through 4, I think. I can't remember. I did read so far, but these are the next ones. So we have here, I wish that it said what number this is, what volume. Here is the next one in this series. This is called The Mothering Invention. I want to say this is like 5, like book 5. This is about these people, like, I think it starts off with 12, like the astrological signs, and then there's a older person who is the main, like, god. So basically in the first book, every 12 years, these gods come down to Earth. They take control of human bodies and they party it up for 2 years, I think. So all of these 12 people that they've chosen are rich beyond belief. They're either like rock stars or movie stars or what have you. They have the time of their lives for 2 years and then they die. And when the gods go back up to wherever they're from, they don't like release the human being. That human being dies. But it's like a sacrifice that they're willing to make. But now within the series, they're fighting amongst each other. Some people think that the older woman is against them and she's got some kind of plan that she's going on that has nothing to do with them, and so she's making it so where they're all dying or something. I own these, so I should probably go back and kind of like look them up, or maybe I'll remember as I'm reading. But this is like the 5th one, I think. And then there's a duology to 6 and 7. So this is the Imperial Phase Part 1 and the Imperial Phase Part 2. Again, these are beautiful. Let me just show you. I love the artwork. All the illustrations are gorgeous. These illustrations are just amazing. I love the very colorful palettes. I love everything that happens to them. Like the story itself is very interesting. Yeah, so I can't wait to read it. It says every 90 years, not 12 years. Every 90 years, 12 gods return as young people. They are loved, they are hated, and in 2 years they are all dead. It's happening now, and it's happening again. Yay! This is by Gillian McKelvey and Wilson and Cowles. Gillian, McKelvey, Wilson, and Cowles. Yeah. So let me know down below what you guys have read. Have you guys read any of these graphic novels? You know, I want to talk. Let me know. This video is getting quite long. My alarm went off saying that it's time for me to go to work. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. I kind of wanted to take a nap today, but I guess that's not happening. And I have to clean up my bed before I leave. So I have to go. But before I do, because my book outlet box is coming tomorrow, and hopefully my book depository boxes come tomorrow, I'm just going to show you my last small piece of this part 2 of the book haul, and that is what I got for my birthday from Penelope, my BFF here on BookTube. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen these, but I just wanted to share them again. Penelope got me this book here. This is called Beware the Little White Rabbit. This is stories by all these different people. I've never heard of any of these people before. If you want to kind of like take a look at the names. But this is a short story collection all revolving Alice in Wonderland. 13 enthralling voices in young adult fiction lead you down the rabbit hole in this nod to the 150th anniversary of Lewis Carroll's timeless character Alice. Mystery, madness, mayhem. Each story in this collection will intrigue, bewitch, and enchant. From rich historicals, castle towers, and deathly plagues, gritty urban explorations, intrepid reporters, would-be car thieves, watchmakers, wormholes, and secret workshops, to the last human in a world ruled by machines. What wonders await, O curious reader? The White Rabbit knows the truth. I am so excited. When I was looking for stories to read for March Madness, I came upon this one on Goodreads, but of course I didn't own it. Look at that. Love that there's illustrations. I didn't own it, and so I added it to my Amazon wish list, and sure enough, she bought it for me. Thank you so much, Penelope. Which, you know, I love you, so I already thanked you again. But I'll do it one more time. And then she also sent me Coraline and the kitty. I can never remember what the kitty's name is. I own this movie, and I've watched it like 5 times. My kids hate this movie. It's scary to them, so they don't like me turning it on. But I love her little blue outfit. She's got the star sweater, you know what I'm saying, and her boots. I love it, I love it, I love it. And then the last book Penelope sent me was Kill Creek, and this is by Scott Thomas. Intensely realized and beautifully orchestrated gothic horror, says Joyce Carol Oates. This was nominated for the Bram Stoker Award, and I think this has to do with serial killers. Oh, on the back it says, not since I read The Shining in 8th grade has a book scared the crap out of me as much as Kill Creek. The combo of a great premise and an exquisite ability to conjure dread and terror makes Scott Thomas's debut the perfect Halloween treat. Ooh, this is his debut novel? Super excited. Penelope, we're going to have to read this in October. I can't wait. I'm so excited. It was supposed to be a simple publicity stunt. 4 famous horror authors spending the night in one of the world's most notorious haunted houses. Yes, I love haunted house stories so much. And then I think I already showed you this, but I did purchase this in March, and this was Alice's Adventures in Underland, The Queen of Stilled Hearts by Deanna Kipling. There you go. Those are all of the books that I got from Bookhaul and from the library and from Penelope, and one that I bought myself. And then tomorrow I will do another of these, a part 3 for my book outlets and my book depository. More books. I just want all the books. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books or you own any of these books. Just talk to me in the comments. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon.